everybody to the podcast show. I'm your host, Ish Barksdale, with my man Gus in the building.
Good evening.
And, we want to welcome y'all to Stay Talking Ish. This week, Gus, be quite honest, bro. I've been paying attention to this thing in Oregon.
I think, before you start, I just want to make a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Dear black people, you never have and possibly never will be able to take over a federal building.
No.
Ever. Do not do it.
And live. Like, they took over the federal building. They took over, like, a federal reserve. Like, they're on these lands.
So we're talking about Oregon. Let's just get that straight. We are talking about Oregon.
Like, if we attempted to take over our project building, we wouldn't live. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we all saw New Jack City.
Yes, we are taking over the Carter.
Yes. All the CMB brothers wanted to do was take over the Carter with less than 150 people, with less trained men.
They did have a lot of guns, though.
They had
fully automatic weapons.
They had weapons. They weren't considered a militia. They were considered a crime syndicate.
They were an occupying force.
Yes. These guys have walked in with ex-military men and said, we're going to war against the government for taking our lands, and we intend to defend these lands if there's any involvement from the government.
Disclaimer number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Christian, but I would like to say to all my Muslim relatives, my Muslim friends, Muslims all across the country, please do not take over a federal building.
Please don't even let the thought cross your mind, because the outcome that's happening right now in Oregon would not be the outcome for us.
Like, do you understand, like, Muslims in their own country, on their own land, can't do the stuff that they're getting away with? I mean, and people may say, what is he talking about? The United States drone program. We will drone you in your own country for doing whatever you want on your own land.
Yes.
Assembling on your own land.
Yes. I just want to go back to the 80s in Philadelphia. There was an organization called The Move.
Oh, yeah, they had the Move art.
And I guess there's a block out there in Philadelphia called Osage. And these guys had a couple of houses where they lived in, and they lived the way they wanted to. They had a culture that they was trying to start. And they went as far as to say that they were willing to defend their houses and not let anyone make them move out of their houses. If I'm correct, they were living in abandoned houses. The neighbors complained. People complained. The end result was the mayor of Philadelphia at that time ordering the firebombing of these houses with African-American men, women, and children.
They shot up the houses prior to the bombing. They shot tear gas. They were SWAT teams. They had 50 caliber machine guns, and they were shooting it into houses occupied by children.
Now, just to be fair, these houses were, to the best of their ability, fortified and prepared for fighting back. They had weapons in the house, and they were shooting back. But to throw tear gas in there and then order the firebombing of the houses is where it could have went too far. Like, you have people who are trained to kick this door and go in there and extract whoever needs to be extracted and take over these houses. Well, if not, then what were they trained for? You understand what I'm saying? That was the response from a mayor. against African Americans. We talking about 150 Caucasian Americans, ex-military, which even makes this an act of treason.
Well, they were bold enough to go and make videos talking about that they were willing to die. They had guns, said they were willing to die, and let's not forget they took over a federal building
on a Sunday, and there was no media coverage of this.
Again, please do not go out and try to take over a federal building. It will not work for you.
So when I think about this, Gus, I really want to say, is this a racial issue?
I don't think that out in Oregon, they said, you know what? These guys took over a federal building. And, this is, let's be honest, it's a federal building that nobody really cares about.
Obviously.
I mean, I think it's in like the middle of nowhere and it's cold. It's on a federal reserve. And I don't think they took any hostages. They actually took it over while nobody was there. I don't think it's racist because I don't think they said, you know what? We're going to go in there. We're going to kill them. We're going to take them out. And somebody said, hey, they're white, right? And they were like, oh, nah. We'll just leave them there. I just think, just in general, they look at it differently than if it was
black people attempting to take
brown people, any brown, even Indians. I think if it was an Indians,
indigenous. They're no longer Indians. They're the indigenous. Well,
they were never really Indians.
No,
because they're not from India.
They're really Americans.
Actually, it's their land.
They got swindled out of Manhattan.
Every once in a while, I do feel bad. Like I'd be like, the house I own was probably belongs to the Indians.
I mean, when you say things like Conshohocken, Topohocken, you have to understand that the Indians lived there. I mean, I apologize, the indigenous.
You know the sad part?
Yeah,
I never see any of them. Like the neighborhoods are named after them, but they're never there.
I think that's like the ultimate disrespect. Like, all right, this is called the Schuylkill, and no one who could even tell you the definition of Schuylkill lives anywhere near the Schuylkill.
You won't see any Indians on the Schuylkill.
No indigenous near the Schuylkill.
I'm sorry, because we do have Indians.
Yes.
They own the stores.
Yes.
7-Elevens. That was very racist.
Some of them don't own the 7-Elevens. Like right now, you got a lot of the Muslims that own the 7-Elevens. But just go.
We're definitely off track.
Yeah, we are.
Back to Oregon.
So I guess my big question with Oregon is like, I don't understand how they're getting away with this. Now, yeah, they went and took over federal lands that no one was living on and said, we're going to defend these lands. And you're not going to do it. And if you try to do anything about it, it's going to be an all-out gun battle. That's basically what they're saying. They have people on patrol for any type of interference from the law, and they're going to shoot. What's the difference with that and the move situation that happened in Philadelphia? The move, people said, we're going to take over abandoned houses.
That nobody wants.
Nobody's done anything with them.
The city doesn't want to tear them down because they don't want to spend the money.
Nobody's going to do anything with them. We're going to take them over, raise our families in them. And if there's any involvement to try to take us out of these homes, we're going to defend them. What's the difference?
I think the city of Philadelphia really valued those houses. They really did not want them occupied. They must have been wanting to rehab them in order to put lawful residents in there. That's but it had to be that.
My question is, if we cared about those houses that much,
they didn't care.
Then why did we firebomb them?
Not only did they firebomb those houses, they took a lot of other houses with them.
Along with them. I think they sent letters out telling the residents of that block to vacate the neighborhood.
And I think people don't understand. It's like how do we equate that? It's like you and your homies pick any federal building in Philadelphia. Moseying on down, taking their guns, and say, you know what?
We want this building.
This building, I think this is ours. And if you want it back,
you have to go to war for it.
Yeah, we're just going to chill here. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're going to live here, and we're going to live off the land. And when we get bored, we'll go to the store. That's the thing that kills me. You had a guy on these lands, a man that's acting that is performing an act of treason, left the lands and went to the diner.
Everybody knew it was there. He ordered pancakes. I don't know what he ordered, but he probably ordered pancakes because he was out there for a while. It was probably cold. Yeah. He had to have some pancakes. He had some coffee. Mm-hmm. He probably took his time because he's like, look, I got to go back.
Yeah, I got to go back, and they not supposed to know that I'm here, but somebody saw me leaving here.
So if he went to the diner, he probably stopped at the crib, got to change of clothes.
Probably did. A lot of them guys probably didn't even. But a lot of those guys probably went, took the building, and then sent people to go back and get their belongings because they really think they're not leaving these lands.
Actually, I saw the news reports. I think they're a little salty that no one's coming to get them.
Yeah, I think they wanted to make national news with this, and I guess they have been openly going out and recruiting and attempting to recruit other men in the area who served in the army or just feel like they are a part of that movement and come on out to those lands and live and flourish. And my question is, what is America going to do about it?
Doesn't seem like they're doing much. I don't think they're really going to do anything at this point. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think part of their strategy is to wait them out. But
how long are we going to wait them out? That's my question. How long are we going to wait them out? I'm wondering why there is not any type of a standoff or anything. Like, these guys are probably ordering out. Like, yeah, we getting a little bit hungry taking over this federal building that no one's responding to. Maybe you guys could bring us a couple pizzas.
Well, they said part of the problem is they didn't bring enough supplies because they didn't think it would last long.
Wow. So on a serious note, do you think that these guys wanted the attention, and when they didn't get the attention that they wanted, then they really have no plan B for this?
See, I think that's exactly what happened. My biggest issue, I don't even have an issue with what the guys did. Yeah, we live in America. We can make protests. We're supposed to be able to do stuff like this and not die and let the laws be what they are. And if, we got to get prosecuted for taking over the building, we get prosecuted. But at the end of the day, everybody lives, blah, blah, blah. My issue is that we don't give the leeway to everybody. Mm-hmm. So if Malik, D-Money, whatever his name, goes and takes over a building, give him the same leeway as you give the guys in Oregon. Because from what I've seen, I feel that if it was some brown people, and I say pretty much anybody but some white people, that they would have made an example out of these people. That to make you know that you cannot do this. This is not acceptable. Like they did with Move. This is not acceptable. Do not organize. Do not get your arms up. Do not do any of this and try to make a statement. We need to break this down.
Yeah.
You need to fall in line.
Yeah. But you won't do it to people who have agreed to serve this country against terrorists, foreign or domestic. You won't enforce this conformity on people who, for lack of better words, with the same shade of skin as you.
Well, my question is, because I see it sometimes from both sides of the fence. Mm-hmm. So they live out in Oregon, and I'm pretty sure these dudes grew up with each other, saw each other, passed each other, or whatever. If you were in the same position, what would you do? Would you try to prove a point? Or would you be like, yo, these dudes are out in the middle of nowhere making noise. They can just chill there. What would you do?
I mean, this is how I feel about it. I would look at it like school. So you're in the classroom. We're going to take the government and go to the lowest level, like a microcosm of it. And you can almost use school as it. So you in school, you got your principal. That would be the president. You got your administrators. That would be, like the cabinet and the judicial system. Well, you got your dean of the school, and then you got your hallway workers who enforce it. That would be like your cops and things like that. Now, I say all that to say, if we in the school system and there's a wing of the school there's nobody occupying the classrooms. Nobody occupying the classrooms. It's just an empty wing of the school. And the principal lets it be known that those rooms belong to the administrators. Whether the administrators use it or not, it belongs to the administrators. You got a couple seniors, meaning that people that have been in the school for a while, they know the rules. Some of them might have been student government. Some of them might have been, part of the maybe the student judicial type situation. And these students, along with maybe a couple freshmen and sophomores, decide we're going to use those rooms whenever we want to. Though the rule says we can't, we're going to use them whenever we want to. And then you get to a situation where it's their recess. And they say, you know what? We're occupying them rooms and we don't care what happens. And they just go in the rooms. And they say, we're willing to get suspended. We're willing to face any type of judicial infraction to say that you don't allow, these rooms are not being used for anything. We don't have any room for any type of recreation things we want to do. We want these rooms. And they take the rooms. Right?
Follow you.
And the principal and the administrators and even the disciplinarian staff, with the dean and all his people, they have a code of conduct that they have to enforce, which came down from the principal. Excuse me. That these students are in violation and it has to be enforced. You ask yourself as the dean, do I want to go after these quote unquote good students who have occupied these rooms and make an example of them? Or they not making no noise? When the school day's out, they can leave and we're not going to discipline them in any action. And that's what's going on with this. Now, if I'm that principal, every one of them students, I don't care if he has a 4.0 or 0.4. All of them are getting the maximum days allowed to be suspended. And we're going into some sort of expulsion hearing.
So going with your example, if you're going to let the 4.0 students go because you know that you taught them how to protest in their social studies class and now they're expressing themselves, if you let them go, you got to let the knuckleheads go too when they decide to do it.
That's right. And and you've set the precedent that if the knuckleheads even thought about that, if you got whispers that the knuckleheads were thinking about it, the knuckleheads would be suspended for a day or receive a notice that they can't come back without their parent. And you go into some sort of a parent-teacher meeting, parent disciplinary staff meeting to give the parents a heads up of what you've been informed to and the recourse of action that's going to happen if the knucklehead decides he's going to be a part of that. So if that's what's going to happen to the knucklehead, meaning we're going to suppress that before it even happens, and even with the attempt to suppress it, if it does happen, we're still going to move to the fullest extent of the school law and get them out of here. So now we bring that to the big scale. We've seen in Philly, I'm quite sure there's stories in Jersey, in New York, Atlanta. I want to believe Malachi York situation was like that in Atlanta too, where they had took over, not forcefully took over some lands, but took some lands and turned it into a whole nother part of what they wanted it to be and was raising a culture down there that they wanted, and then come to find out that, I could get some more research on that, but Malachi York was breaking a number of laws down there, and the police ran into those lands, arrested Malachi York, and took those lands back. You've done that to every movement that's happened in America. But now that some of your own is doing it, they're the 4.0 kids. They're just trying to express themselves. We're going to let them express themselves, and when it's said and done, they can go back home and go back to their lives, and we're not even going to suspend them. We're not even going to give them a detention. Go back to your life. It's good. I understand that you guys were trying to make a martyr of yourself. That's how I see this, and then that's what I like in this too.
So, do you think they should make an example out of these guys? Should they enforce the laws, or should they continue doing what they're doing and then provide the same type of leniency to other groups when they go out and do the same thing?
I'm going to say this doesn't bode well to the culture of your school the same way it doesn't bode well to the culture of this country. If we're going to be jackasses, we got to be jackasses to everybody.
So if you're going to shoot one 12-year-old kid, you got to shoot all the...
I mean, that's a terrible example, but yes, if you're going to hop out the car and shoot this 12-year-old kid, then goddamn it, you better jump out the car and shoot that 12-year-old kid.
You better shoot Brad, too.
You understand what I'm saying? If Sharif done got shot, goddamn it, Robert better get shot.
Disclaimer number 3.
Yeah.
Excuse me, black officer. Mm-hmm. Do not go in the white neighborhood and shoot Brad.
Robert. If you shoot Robert, hashtag roof him. And you know this. You know this. So, I mean, I just don't understand why there hasn't been a response from America. And do I want to see an all-out bloodbath, shoot 'em up, bang, bang war to get these guys off these federal lands? No. I personally do not want to turn on the TV and find out any of these guys are dead. I would be highly satisfied if I turned on the TV and all 150 of these guys were handcuffed and shackled and walking in a straight line to the paddy wagons, the same way when the police run in the projects, whether you live in the high rise or you got the little low rise row homes, and there's a quote unquote trap house in there, and you got 10 guys selling dope out of this trap house. And when they show the news, all these guys are handcuffed, shackled, and walking out in a straight line together to the paddy wagons. I want to see all 150 of these guys. I don't care if it's women, children, dogs, cats, old folks, whoever. If you're on these federal lands illegally with this group, I want to see you marched off these lands in handcuffs, headed to bookings to face charges for treason, to face charges for, you could say, reckless endangerment, whatever charges come with you bringing licensed or unlicensed weapon on the federal grounds, taking over a federal building, and pretty much issuing the statement that we're going to war if you get here. Every charge that comes with it, I want to see you arrested and facing every charge that comes with it. Period.
And there's no SWAT guys outside.
No.
No one with police shields.
No negotiator. No one standing outside saying, please leave. What do you want?
So you know, when the Black Lives Matter people show up,
mm-hmm. and they get tear
with no guns,
with no weapons. The only weapon that the Black Lives Matter people ever had during these marches,
that big old sign,
was the sign, their voices, and walking in clasped arms on the front line, walking, screaming that they want justice, screaming that Black Lives Matter. And things have happened to them, and there's been force and resistance shown against them. And they weren't trying to occupy anything. They were just exercising their constitutional right to assemble and protest.
So let's get this straight. A bunch of Caucasian gentlemen with handguns and rifles are less of a problem than unarmed black people.
Gus, I just want to interrupt. The smallest weapon that these protesters had were handguns. These protesters showed up with army guns, ARs, AKs, HKs, SKs, M16s, 223s, 3030s, with ammunition, dressed like the soldiers, white, black, Chinese, Puerto Rican, homosexual, straight, whatever, that have given their lives for this country. Whether the cause right or wrong, these protesters went on these lands dressed in those same uniforms and committed an act against America. Continue.
You know, as you said earlier, just talking it out, you have to just think about this. All these guys with guns are less of a threat than unarmed black people united. Just think about that for a second.
I'm going to go a step further. I want the audience to really think about that. I want the parents that's listening to this, people that's parents, if it's young adults listening to this, I want you to think about this. And think about the power of the minority. And and it ain't even about just being of color. Think about the power of the minority assembling.
You can shoot each other on the street, have all the guns you want, and we good. But when you unified and educated and you assemble
for a cause, you are a threat. You are a threat to establishment.
I can go on this corner with a gun in my hand. There are no cops with shields, no battle gear, no SWAT, no armed vehicles.
But if I
go on a block
with a sign that says Black Lives Matter, and me and the homies get to walk in the block screaming Black Lives Matter until the whole neighborhood is walking with us, screaming Black Lives Matter.
Here come the tear gas.
Here comes the law to disassemble not only the people, but to disassemble the idea.
You can be an ignorant MFer all you want. You are not allowed to be an educated black man.
I'm going to go a step further than that. You are not allowed to, you could be ignorant, you could be smart, you could be the biggest thug on the block or the biggest genius on the block. But as soon as the thug and the genius decide that we're going to hold hands and unify against a cause that's affecting...
You got to shut this shit down.
Yeah, you guys are done. You guys are... Yeah, that's the... And no one can tell me different because that's what we see. When those Caucasian men unified and said, we're taking this refuge, we're willing to become martyrs for this refuge, these were our lands. First of all, I just got to be honest. No one but the indigenous people of this continent can ever have the testicular fortitude to stand up on any camera in this country and say, they took those lands from us. Those are our lands and we're taking them back.
I just got to cut in for just a second. Why I agree with you. I pay a lot of tax on my house.
You do.
I'm sorry, indigenous people. I'm not giving it back. I'm sorry. I feel bad for them, but I don't think I can give it back.
I'm be honest, indigenous people, if y'all come to the hood and kick it, I'm quite sure that a lot of people going to be like, shit, come through.
I mean, I'm going to let you, like, you could come over and I'm going to, like, give you something to eat because I'm going to be salty. Like, you know, I understand. And, you know what I mean? You can set up shop in the backyard. But I'm not giving it back. I mean, I agree with I didn't take the land.
I had nothing to do with it. My people had nothing to do with it. It was Thanksgiving before we ever got on the ship to get here. So that means that the wrong and justice done to the indigenous people had already happened before we got here.
Matter of fact, when I get my 40 acres in the mule,
I'm
going to give 20 acres to you because it was really your land.
I'm going to be quite honest. I can't give 20 of the 40 acres that I receive because my ancestors earned that 40 in a mule after you guys had already had your land.
You can get like 3.
I'm willing to give them 15 of my 40 acres.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they can take they can take 15 of the 40 acres, but you can't have my mule.
Yeah, we're going to need that mule.
That's my ass. You're not taking my ass. I'm sorry.
You got to protect your ass.
You got to protect your ass. But to get back on topic, those guys, for whatever reason in America, those guys that have taken that land, apparently America don't see them as a threat. But let Black Lives Matter with no guns, 0 guns, just signs, take over, walk into an unused federal building and say, we're not leaving this building.
I mean, they can't even walk down the street.
Listen, brother, the big thing is not even race as much as it is status and power. If you come from money and your tax brackets say you have money, you mean a little bit more to America than the people who don't. The consumer class doesn't really, you have a shut up and buy. You know what I'm saying? You ever seen Don't Be a Menace to while drinking your juice and the lady kept following, hurry up and buy. Hurry up and buy. Because that's how America looks at the consumer class. The class that makes $19,000 a year and is considered impoverished. That's the hurry up and buy class. Shut up and buy. No, you can't protest because you protesting mean that you guys might organize and stop buying. And you guys are the driving force of this economic structure.
Crazy. Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you happen to be, in that elite class, a billionaire, then you don't want people to organize. Then they might,
because if they organize and the consumers decide to stop consuming, then I'm a billionaire now, but then I'm spending more money than I'm making. So then
I'm only 100 millionaire.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want that to happen.
No, of course not. Of course not. So that's what I really think this whole situation is about, Gus. And question I employ our listeners to respond to, give us some feedback on the post. What do you think would happen if this were people protesting for a different cause? With the same reaction, with the same actions, guns, taking over a federal anything, and pretty much protesting because they feel like they're being wronged by their government.
So any of the Tamir Rice protesters, the Freddie Gray protesters, and them take over a federal building.
Let them take over a federal building.
Tell us what you think would happen.
Yeah, me personally, I think it wouldn't end as peaceful for them as this situation that hasn't ended is continuing to be.
It's about 2 weeks.
For that Oregon militia. Want to thank y'all for listening.
Please remember, do not take over a federal building unless you are Caucasian.
Yes. And even if you are Caucasian, I'll be quite honest. I don't think that every protester with these guns and wanting to move like the militia is going to be as peaceful as this situation. I do think that if you're Caucasian and you tried this somewhere else where the state would get involved, it probably would end in bloodshed.
So Caucasians in Kensington, you cannot do this.
Please don't try this.
It's not going to work for you.
Yeah. So once again, this is your host, Mr. Barksdale.
It's Gus. Follow us on @StayTalkingIsh on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep.
StayTalkingIsh.com.
Yep.
That'll forward you over to our beautiful SoundCloud page where you can check out the podcast.
Yep.
And we actually got some clips coming up on the YouTube channel, which is Stay Talking Ish.
Yeah.
Of outtakes. It's a lot of stuff that happens that you just don't get to hear.
Yeah, you just don't understand. It's not as simple as just us sitting here talking ish. That goes on to this, and you know what I mean. I think it would be really entertaining if they got a chance to.
Yeah, I think we probably talk more ish. More ish gets cut out than actually stays in. We kind of try to make it sound like we're intelligent, and we're talking,
Now we are intelligent. We just people trying to make it appear as that we speak intelligently all the time. When actually,
3/4 of the time we just sit here talking ish.
Yeah, it's get real ratchet over here. So thank y'all for listening, man. Enjoy y'all day. Peace.